Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Let's Talk Yoga podcast. I hope you're doing well. I'm really excited to share today's conversation with you. It's a topic that I've been wanting to bring on the show for a long time, and I'm glad that we are finally putting this out here for you. But before I get into today's conversation, I wanted to get a couple of quick reminders out of the way. Firstly, know that all our podcast episodes are on YouTube. They are on my Aham Yoga channel. And if you subscribe to the channel, there is a podcast playlist. So you can actually see the guest and me interacting and having these conversations in real time, especially if you're someone who's trying to stay off the phone a lot more. The YouTube podcasts are a fun way to explore the visual conversation. And as always, wherever you listen to this podcast, it would mean so much to me and our guests if you could take a moment to rate and review the podcast. Remember, this is a free resource. We actually put in time, money, and effort to bring this to you. So a review, a share on social media, anything that can support this podcast will help us keep it going in the long run. And lastly, there are no courses available at this point. I know some of you are emailing me and asking. I'm actually working on some other stuff, studying a little bit. So there's a bunch of things going on. My studio is going to get renovated in summer. So what I have done is I have opened waitlists. And if you go to the link in the show notes or on my Instagram bio, you can sign up for the waitlist, whether it's the pranayama immersive studies, the teaching yoga to beginners. I have a couple of other exciting things like a 300-hour in the works, things like that. So if you are keen on knowing when those things are coming out, just go and sign up for the waitlist. Okay. Now let's talk about today's show. We have Dr. Manasa Rao back on the show. If you are a regular listener, you know that she's been on the show before. We've had a wonderful conversation about sadhana. I highly encourage that you go listen to that one after you finish listening to today's episode. Dr. Manasa has a PhD, a master's and PhD in yoga sciences from S. Vyasa in Bangalore. I have always found her to be very relatable, knowledgeable, grounded, and she's so immersed in her own yoga that it's hard for me to not have her on the show and to get nerdy about some topics. So today we talk about all things gurus in yoga. Okay, the word guru and what it means. And then we jump into so many layers. The characteristics of a guru. How do you know you need one? When should you want one? How easy is it to find one? What if you can never find a guru? Why does the guru get such a bad rap? Can you operate in yoga without one? There's so much in here. Okay. If you've heard the podcast, you know, I think that the teacher is, you can't do yoga on your own. You need a teacher at many points in your yoga journey to help you navigate. So Dr. Manasa beautifully, eloquently breaks down and simplifies the guru in yoga for us. So I hope you enjoy this episode. You can find all the links to Dr. Mansa's work in our show notes at letstalk.yoga. And I would highly encourage you to leave us a rating and review at the end of the show if you got some value from it. That's it from me. I'll see you on the other side. Enjoy this conversation about gurus with Dr. Manasa. Hi, Manasa. Welcome back to the Let's Talk Yoga podcast.
I'm so happy to be back, Arundhati.
I have been dreaming of this conversation with you for so long. So I'm very excited. I know I have, since our last conversation, which was a while back, I have been waiting to talk to you about this topic. In the yoga world, we hear the word guru often, right? It is in many ways, a sacred term. So in this conversation, I want to unpack for myself and for the listeners all things about the guru in yoga. So, and I can't think of a better guest to have this conversation with. So can we start with understanding what is the role of a guru in yoga?
Yes. Before I answer that, we'll just start with a little shloka. Yeah. सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् Asmadacharya-paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Beginning with Sadashiva, what it means is through Adi Shankaracharya and in between up to my own Guru, I just bow to everybody in the lineage of the entire tradition. Yeah. So I'm really happy to be back here, Arundhati. I was like, it took some time for us to be back on this podcast. And you know what? When I think of the word guru, what I think we have today more gurus than students. Isn't it? We perpetually come across teachers self-proclaiming themselves to be gurus, yogis, yoginis. It's hilarious how somebody who has just merely finished their 20-hour TTC is brave enough to call themselves a yoga guru within a year. I really wonder what, God knows what propels them. Could be a marketing gimmick or an inflated ego. See, for you and me, we know it's a silly trend.
Yes.
But the larger harm is to the credibility of the term guru. So I'm so glad that, you wanted me to decipher this on this platform, the various facets of the most pious word in the yoga world, guru. So to begin with, I feel being a guru is a super niche work. Let me just explain this to you. See, when we achieve something in life, when others praise us for all our accomplishments, we need that one person in our life who will silently set a new goal for us. That one person who, after witnessing our million failures, still shows compassion and love that's beyond measure. The difference between guru and other people around us is that others might just say nitpick on our faults. But it's only a guru who sets things in perspective for us. In a way, being that mirror. That's precisely why the Sanskrit word gu means darkness, and ru means light. So one who shows that light of wisdom and destroys that darkness of ignorance is called a guru. So in the yogic path, having a guru simplifies our journey. Guru is glorified as Brahman in our tradition, which is the absolute reality. We say Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat, Para Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. We give Guru the status of the creator, preserver, and the destroyer of the universe. And that's how crucial he is to our journey. Because Guru shows us the divine possibilities. To explain this, let me give you another analogy. See, have you seen how cats and monkeys carry their newborns? There's a difference in the way cats and monkeys do it. Their approach is very different. While, say, the mother cat takes complete responsibility of carrying the kitten, the mother monkey expects the baby to hold on to her while they take that lead. Isn't it? So now, which approach is better? Both are equally important. Okay. In the case of cat, the kitten has surrendered absolutely to the mother. But while in the case of a monkey, the baby monkey clings on to the mother. So this is a very ancient analogy that explains the path of devotion and the path of knowledge. If one is in the path of bhakti or devotion, they say, be like a kitten. Surrender to the divine. If one is in the path of jnana or seeking wisdom, then go under an able guidance of a guru, cling on to the guru, and be like a baby monkey, like it clings on to the mother, cling on to the guru.
That's actually a very beautiful analogy. I never thought of it like that. So what I see sometimes here, and which something I know you will unpack in this conversation, is the guru gets a bad reputation, right? I myself know yoga teachers here who are wonderful, but they will be like, follow no guru, right? But you and I know that yoga is not a do-it-yourself project. It was never meant to be. There are many points in yoga where you need the guidance of a guru. So for listeners to understand the guru a little more deeply, what would be some of the traits or characteristics that we should look for in a guru? Because then we can spot the self-proclaimed gurus with the to like segregate the two. Because nowadays you can self-proclaim anything.
Yes. So you know what? What's interesting is in our scriptures, it gives a list of characteristics of a student and of a. Okay. So there are certain parameters that have been explained, which will help the student to know who is a good teacher so that not much time is wasted. And simultaneously, it helps the teacher as well to assess whether this particular student is worthy enough of his time and energy. In fact, in the Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan says, Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. So, Bhagavan lists the qualities of a student. He says, pranipata, pariprashna, and seva. These three qualities for a student. Pranipata means one who is able to surrender. That surrender means to overcome the ego tendency. Okay, to be ready to obey the instructions of the master. Very simple. Pariprashna means questioning to the core, having that scientific attitude, making relevant inquiries about the truth of life, to deepen one's knowledge. Pariprashna does not mean that, I want to question because I want to know whether my guru knows the answer for this. No. We would have come across such students in the class. They just want to test our knowledge about a particular subject. Pariprashna means that the student is asking relevant questions to the teacher with an attitude of deepening one's knowledge. Okay. And seva means that the student is willing to serve the teacher, having an attitude of service. So our scripture also lists two main qualifications of a teacher. What are those? Stotriyam and Brahmanishtam. So Stotriyam means that a teacher needs to be well-versed in the Shastras. A guru needs to be well-versed in the Shastras or the scriptures. And having the realization of the ultimate truth or the experience of that is a Brahmanishtam. Now, actually, the question that arises is, are these parameters applicable to this age where there is not much of a Gurukula system? Right? A Gurukula is a traditional residential schooling system, which the students used to have with the teacher. But I think that the answer is yes, wherein the qualification of the teacher, okay, which is mentioned in the scripture, it still holds relevant because it is not talking about how many certificates or the educational qualification one has, but the qualification of a guru is pertaining to the core understanding of the subject. Okay, and the experience that has emerged out of that sadhana for a teacher. So it's a litmus test. In the entire tradition, there is no blind acceptance. The yogic text not only mentions the physical guru, in fact, Maharshi Patanjali gives a totally a different perspective when he says, Sa purvesham api guruhu kalena navachedat. He says that Ishvara, that Vishesha Purusha who
Mhm.
is beyond the kleshas, beyond the afflictions and beyond the karmas, is the eternal teacher.
Mm. Mhm.
So likewise, in fact, even in Kathopanishad, we see the Lord of Death, Yama, becoming the teacher to the young Nachiketa. So
Mhm.
which clearly shows that pariprashna, that quality of questioning in the yogic path is fundamental. Be it God, be it Guru, nobody is spared till you get a convincing answer. And see the beauty of it. I find this totally enamoring, where the spotlight is not on some entity which is beyond and above, but it is on the student,
Mhm.
his journey, his learning. And the Guru is there to help the student on this path of realization.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
I think sometimes what gets misunderstood is a guru is seen as uh, like you have to be obedient. But
Yes.
what they miss is that there is a certain way you interact, right? You learn with the guru, but you also question. That's exactly what you were saying. There is a dialogue. It is not, I tell you, you listen. It's not a one-way street. Um,
Yes.
and that gets lost because of the non-gurus who have pretended to be gurus, right? So no, thank you for that. Speaking of gurus, right? You said at the start, in 20 hours, somebody proclaims they are a guru in something. In the Shastras, and correct me if I'm wrong, there are different levels of teachers. You said there were students too, correct? Yes. But there are different levels of teachers. Can you clarify for the listeners what are the different levels of teachers? I'm using levels very generally, and the different types of students, if possible.
Mhm. Okay. So, in fact, I feel the greatest of the Guru is our last mistake.
What do you mean by
That
that?
would have taught us so much. No, when we do a mistake, okay, we learn, we gather so much about how not to do that, or
Mm,
what is that takeaway from that mistake.
mm,
There is a guru there in that mistake, teaching us something. So when there is some obstacle in life, we need to see that as, what am I going to learn from out
mm,
of this?
mhm,
But in the traditional sense, a guru is essentially one who gives a diksha or an initiation to begin one's spiritual journey. So a guru can be a diksha guru,
mhm,
one who initiates uh, the student into a particular tradition. And a guru can also be a shiksha guru, where the guru is instructing the student. So there can be many shiksha gurus in one's life. And there can be a chaitya guru, which is the guru within us. So this, in fact, reminds me of Avaduta Dattatreya story. It's beautiful. The story goes like this, where one day when sage Dattatreya, and he was a child, there is a king who comes to visit the ashram. And since his parents were away, the boy greets the king and he says, okay, that's when the king realizes, observes that this boy, Dattatreya, has an unmissable radiant, some inner joy in this boy. And the king gets curious to learn how someone so young can be so wise. And in order to know what is this secret behind this inner joy, the king questions the boy, saying, who is your guru? Who has taught you all this? And the boy says, I have 24 gurus. So, totally astounded by this response, king asked the boy, 24 gurus at such a tender age? I want to know who they are.
mm,
And then that is when Dattatreya, the small boy, lists 24 gurus and what he has learned from each one of them. He says, from Mother Earth, I have learned how to hold lovingly in my heart for all those who trample me. Okay. And I have learned a sense of resilience from Mother Earth. And he says, from sun and moon and oceans, they have taught me the unchanging nature of truth. And he says, from water, I've learned to keep moving, because once it stops, it becomes stagnant. And he says, from the wind, on the other hand, it never attaches itself to any object it touches. So like this, he gives the list of 24 gurus, and the lessons that one can learn and discover, which means that everything around us, okay, only if we are just attentive enough as students, we can just learn, from everything around us. Of course, though certain like niche learnings need a transmission from a guru. But I feel that there are plenty of ways through which we can constantly be observant and learn by being receptive to just any lesson that comes our way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you're saying there are these, in life, as we move through, there are small learnings everywhere. So,
Absolutely.
so learn from those. And if you are looking for something specific, then you go seek out a qualified teacher
Yes.
as needed. So what is the difference between a qualified teacher and a guru? Like, for example, you teach yoga, right? You and I both teach I teach a little bit of yoga. You teach a lot more yoga. But I'm very uncomfortable if anybody uses the word guru towards me. And I tell them that, no, I am a mere teacher, right? That too, I know a little bit of yoga. So the question I'm trying to get to is, how does one differentiate the guru or a guru from a regular teacher?
Very interesting, actually. See, the word guru reminds me of another beautiful doha from Sant Kabir Das. So Kabir Das ji was a great saint from Varanasi. And in one of his doha, he says, Guru Govind dono kare kake lagu pai balihari guru apne Govind diyo batai. Which means that he says, if I have Guru and Govind, that is God, if they appear before me, I will first touch the feet of the Guru, because he is the one who guided me to God. What he means by this is, it's impossible to reach God without the guidance of a Guru. But in today's world, like you just said, we have distorted the term Guru to an extent where we call every teacher or just about anybody Guru. Okay, so basically a pious word is being misused.
Correct.
To understand the difference between Guru and other teachers, I think we need to again go back to the traditional classifications of the teachers. So there is an adhyapak, okay, who imparts knowledge or information. Okay, then there are teachers called upadhyay, who in a way helps us build a good understanding of the knowledge system. And there are acharyas, who imparts certain specified skills. And then there is a pandita, who can provide a deep insight into a particular subject. And there are drishtas, who in a sense is who has a visionary view, and who can teach you to think in that manner. All right. And then we have the Guru, who can awaken the wisdom in us and lead us from darkness to light. Okay. So if an adhyapak, okay, so basically an adhyapak and upadhyay can be teachers. And acharya is a professional teacher who specializes in a specific, say, a domain, and imparts knowledge and skills associated with that. And then there is an acharya who has learned scriptures from a competent teacher, and who has dedicated a lot of time for swadhyayas, for self-study and for tapas, like a Shankaracharya or Ramanujacharya or a Madhvacharya. An acharya is invariably extremely learned in scriptures. with adequate Sanskrit knowledge.
Mm.
But a Pandita is like a consultant because he has deep insight into the subject. And basically, a Pandita's approach to receive a particular advice on a particular subject. Drishta is like a coach. Okay, so basically, a Drishta opens our mind for new possibilities. But a guru is a leader. He's highly capable. He's an experienced person. So we can use this classification to check where a particular teacher belongs based on their expertise. And also have an idea of how to address another teacher also. So there are so many layers to this classification available. And I think it's high time that we as a yoga community, we need to utilize these classifications, and we can address them as an acharya, upadhyaya, or so on and so forth, but not just blindly put them under the category of a guru.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah?
I think it is very important to hear what you're saying, right? There are these levels of teachers, and
Yes.
these just like how you go through school and then you do your bachelor's and then you do your master's and you build like that. There is structure here too, and that these conversations aren't available as much, and hence everybody just directly goes from kindergarten in yoga to being a guru. That's how I see it. So it's really important to pause and just reflect on that breakdown that you gave us. So my question to you is two things. One is, then is guru a title? Like, do we bestow that title on somebody, or society recognizes a person for their contribution? So is it a title? Okay, that's one part of my question. And the second part is the guru, unlike other teachers, is the guru the one who makes a deep impact on your spiritual journey? Like, he transforms your inner self in many ways, because the others are giving you information, skills, tools, knowledge in a different way. So yeah, those two.
Okay. So when we say whether we need a guru, we are referring to a guru in the human form here. So guru in the form, in a human form, is glorified because this person would have already made that journey as a student. So as a student, having a guru alongside, who has already made that trip, or at least knows well the best way to move forward, will simplify our journey. And less time is wasted. Or one can also explore things on their own, all right? But to reach the destination, it's not easy and it's time consuming. So without any guidance of a guru, the progress will probably be very slow, all right? And we can head in a wrong direction as well. So also, does everyone need a guru? Yeah, I think the right question to ask would be, am I worthy enough of a guru in my life? Because, we try to put a title, we try to do a lot of things, to that word. But when we think the other way around, have I done enough homework to have a guru in my life? I say this with all honesty because, according to me, having the right guru in life has a great potential to change the entire trajectory of one's sadhana. If a seeker thinks that they don't need a guru and can work on their own way through this path with, say, the available source of information and materials that's abundantly available today through books and videos, it's absolutely fine. There's no stress. But firstly, one has to remember that one needs that person. One needs a guru or a guide. And where, if they feel that they don't need it, they're just operating from a place of ego without any objectivity, where the self is refusing to surrender. So, and another aspect of this is all knowledge that's gathered through books, through videos and other resources are just mere information and not wisdom. So for that wisdom to get converted into knowledge and then transform into wisdom, we need a guide who can decode it for us through various methods, various techniques.
Mhm.
Let me just dissect this one a little more. Say there is a keen seeker and he has come across some Hatha Yoga literature or some video or some celebrity or some influencer propagating some yogic technique. Yeah. Like say a Shambhavi Mudra. Or during COVID times, we saw these Linga Mudra and Brahmari videos floating around to improve immunity. So the techniques per se will definitely help. But who will decide whether the seeker is ready for it or not? Whether it will help them or not? Like to do a mudra in its authentic sense. I repeat this, it's like to do a mudra in the authentic sense, one needs to be ready, as it's an extremely nuanced and intense practice by nature when done correctly. By ready, I mean to say they need to be ready at the Annamaya Kosha, the Pranamaya, and the Manomaya Kosha, or the layers of our existence. I say this because one needs to work the way up the energy ladder consistently to observe and handle the energy explosion that occurs. So who will decide whether one is ready for it or not? This is one aspect of it. The other aspect of it is every yoga practice, especially the advanced practices, needs to be customized.
Yes.
Depending on the requirement of the students. So today we have people walk into our classes with varied ailments and emotional conditions. So yoga practices cannot be taken like an over-the-counter drug. Most of the practices needs prescription, defining the right dose depending on the ability, the proficiency of a student. And for that, we need a person to guide us on this path, saying this practice is suitable for you to do it at this hour of the day in this particular order for these number of repetitions for this duration. Yeah. So only then a seeker can derive the attempted benefit. But unfortunately, today we see people applying mudras by watching television. I think this will balance out doshas in the body. So if the senses and emotions are outward bound and one is trying to channelize energy within the body through adopting certain mudra, then I would say don't expect remarkable outcomes. Because for mudras to be effective, we have to hold that position, be observant, be still, wait for that pranic response to happen. So why mudras? Even the number of malas in a mantra chanting needs prescription. For that, we need a guidance of a guru, from a person who has been there, done that. So to put it simply, all the content we see on the various platforms, which are they're just there to broaden our horizon as to what yoga comprises of. Gather all the information, I would say. Whether the techniques are suitable for an individual, that needs an objective assessment. And it has to be put in a consumable format. Now, only a guru can do that. Yeah.
No, I've always believed that you need a teacher. And not just in yoga, you need teachers in life in general, honestly, for different things. Like your mother is a teacher. Your son is a teacher in many ways. For me, my dog is a teacher. There are these little teaching moments sprinkled throughout life. So I'm glad you are adding so many layers of clarity. Even this podcast, right? If everything was in the books, if everybody could self-navigate, these conversations aren't needed because it's already supposed to be there. But while this conversation is about gurus and teachers, can we pause and talk about the caliber of the student? Because for me, personally, I think this is very important and not spoken about often, right? There are, and I say this very respectfully and humbly, there are high caliber students who are ready to absorb that knowledge. They're hungry, they're willing to do the work. And then there are students who are at the start of their journey, right? And how you and I would teach a beginner in an asana class, for example, is really different from how you would say teach an experienced student who's been doing aspects of yoga for many years. So it really, can we shine some light on the student here and the qualities or the types of students? Because this was spoken about, right? Many, like hundreds of years ago, they spoke about the student being ready.
Yes.
And it was, nowadays we buy something, we buy a course and we think we're entitled to that. But can we talk about the student a little bit?
See, when it comes to yoga, I feel it's a lifelong journey of being a student.
Mm-hmm.
Whether we are teaching yoga or at whatever level we are as teachers, it is being a student ultimately. Yeah. So to be a student, like you just mentioned, we have students from various backgrounds, okay, various calibers. Instead of using the word caliber, I will use the word guna here. Okay. So there are students from who have basically a dominant tamasic guna, or a dominant rajasic guna, or a dominant sattvic guna. As a teacher, one needs to recognize that. Okay. So I as a teacher, am not looking at how well they are able to do the asana, or how well they are able to do whatever techniques. I am going to look at where they stand in that ladder of the guna. How often can they be in a sattvic state? For how long can they sustain it? Okay, that will define how advanced a student is.
Oh, wonderful. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So talking about students, if a student is able to do a handstand today, we think it's an advanced asana. But how are they able to handle their emotions? Yeah, that will also define how they are in the spiritual path. So there is nothing like a super advanced practice and intermediate or beginner or whatever. We are all shifting, as we move through the day. We are just shifting through various levels, as we interact with the world outside of us. But the gunas will define how we react or how we respond to the exterior world. So I think that is where we need to be very observant as teachers and see, how do I give practices to this particular student to move from being a dominant tamasic student to a little rajasic, or from rajasic to a little sattvic. Yeah. So the practices also need to be aligned to that.
It's actually a beautiful way of looking at it. I've never thought of it as being more in the sattvic state. That is that way takes it off your yoga mat and puts it into the world a lot more. So speaking of the student here, how much of a responsibility does the student take on the learning journey, and what is the guru responsible for?
Okay. For a guru, okay, the responsibility of a guru is to show the inner teacher. The responsibility of a guide, guru, is to keep aligning you to that light within. That is the purpose of the guide. That is the purpose of the guru, to introduce the student to that light. How? Like I just said, through various sadhanas. The external guru ideally should lead us to that path of contemplation. The outer guru, a competent teacher, will actually guide us through his or her wisdom and experiences and makes the student aware of the guru within. So in the light of the inner guru, one will be able to, say, acquire the power to distinguish between the right and wrong, between the good and bad, between the choices we make in life. Without the ability of discernment, the student will always remain a victim of the external world, what we call in yoga as the vritti samskara chakra or the karma chakra. So along with this, another significant thing to keep in mind is that no matter how enlightened the guru is, the person cannot guarantee enlightenment of the student. They can guide, they can show you the light, but the sadhaka who has to go within, find that consistency in the practice and embrace that light. That a student needs to do. Like, what can a student do? Like we say, you can lead the horse to the water, but you can't make him drink.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. A true teacher never gives false expectations to his students.
True.
He can never say, you serve me and I will do the practices to you. So the student should also remember that one can become an expert, not just by being around a great master, but one can be an expert how? By doing what the master does.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So these are the things, one needs to keep in mind being a student. Like just because, I'm with a great master does not mean that I'm expert in something.
Yes.
I need to practice. I need to put time into my sadhana to just acquire that expertise. So when we take the examples of, say, Rama, Krishna, or Buddha, or even Christ, millions of people knew them and thousands of people have lived with them. But how many were enlightened in their time? Hardly a few. I think, frankly, the best way to be is as a student is not be dependent on anyone but your own sadhana. It is important that you love, respect your guru, have faith in that person, because it's a collaborative journey. Yeah, I say this because to a large extent, some of my best years of sadhana, was under the guidance of my guru. Her glow, her compassion was immeasurable. In fact, she left her body last year since then, the divine play is such that, Arundhati, whenever I sincerely ask guidance, seek that guidance from the lineage, I have invariably received it. And to fine-tune oneself to this frequency, to receive what one is seeking, it takes that effort. Okay? It takes sometimes months, sometimes years of effort. All we need to have is patience as students.
Yes. I think it's a very important indication, patience as a student. There is, as I really like how you said that, and correct me if I'm not summarizing it correctly, is that external guru should ignite that internal guru, and that discernment. You have to develop discernment. You can't follow blindly. You can't expect to be, you didn't say it like that. I'm saying it like that. You can't be spoon-fed. You can't be lazy on this journey. You have to be active and an advocate for your own learning in so many ways. So that external guru igniting that internal guru is very important. One of my teachers, Bharat Shetty, had said when we graduated a course, he said one thing. He said many things, but the one that I keep repeating is follow the yoga, not the person. And
Absolutely.
It was so simple. Back then, I didn't understand it because I was just a student. But when I crossed over, it makes so much more sense. Follow the yoga, not the person. And I have kept that as, a compass in so many ways for myself. So I keep repeating, follow the yoga, not the person, especially in conversations of gurus and teachers. I think it's very important. So can we talk about why does the guru get such a bad reputation? Is it because we have self-proclaimed gurus, right? So how do I, as a yoga student, sincere yoga practitioner, how do I discern a fake guru from a competent teacher?
this is the most relevant question of the day, actually. Because in today's world, we see people go guru shopping like crazy, online, offline, just hopping from one ashram to another. Because they just don't have time to spare for sadhana, isn't it? They want quick results. They want quick miracles to happen. What are those miracles? They are looking at instant cleansing of past karmas, instant kundalini awakening.
Yeah.
Even without any prior knowledge about what kundalini is or what a havoc it can create if your body is not ready for that awakening. Arundhati, this is like, I think this is the most important thing that we need to know as people in the path of yoga. Because there is a huge misconception that another human in the form of a guru can cleanse my past karmas and transform my life in a jiffy. So now this is a massive problem because we live in a world where for every demand there is a supply. So if a human is craving for instant self-realization, there are hundreds of other humans taking advantage of that. But this is the way of the world we live in. Have you heard of the Kumbh Mela? Yeah, it's the largest congregation of pilgrims on earth. Yeah, so it's a massive gathering of saints, sadhus, visitors, aspirants. They just land up to take dip in the Ganga, and it's called a Mela because it's a fair. Why I'm mentioning this Kumbh Mela is it is an eye opener to the world of fake and real Babas and teachers. One has to make a visit to Kumbh Mela once in a lifetime. In fact, if you have read the autobiography of a yogi, there is a chapter where Paramahamsa Yogananda ji's master, Sri Yukteswar Giri, meets Babaji at Kumbh Mela. All right. There is this beautiful conversation between the two where Babaji, referring to the fake Babas, he says that we should not judge the whole for the faults of a few. Yeah, we should not judge the entire community for the faults of a few, because he says this so beautifully that everything on this earth has mixed character. Yeah, it's a mixture of sand and sugar. It's for us to use our discriminatory power like an ant picks up only the sugar and leaves the sand behind. We need to be like that ant. I think it's a wonderful way to look at this scenario, where we need to use that discriminatory power and pick up the best. Okay, but nonetheless, one has to be attentive because there are certain red flags when it comes to modern gurus. Because as far as my understanding goes, the prominent of them is one who says, worship me.
Yes.
We need to be beware of them. The dangerous guru cults that we see have largely developed where the worship of the guru has superseded the worship of the god. So in such cults, guru is seen as a blesser. Okay, he's no more a teacher. Because I believe that the real blessing of a guru comes in the form of consistent study, discipline, and hard work also by the student. And not just by a mere touch of a guru. Yeah. So this Swami Rama, if you have heard of, he's a great Himalayan master. He once said that guru is not the goal. Guru is like a boat for crossing the river. Having a good boat is very important. But after you have crossed the river, you don't need to hang on to your boat. You certainly don't need to worship the boat also. So the sooner we realize as sadhakas, as seekers, that what comes easy won't last, and what lasts won't come easy. Yeah. So then, we can move ahead with a better clarity that way.
Mhm.
The earlier we realize this as humans, the safer we are actually. Yeah.
No, that's I like the sand and sugar example. That makes it's there's a lot of noise, right? When somebody finds a bad teacher, and then they're like, and that person's not even a guru; they're just a bad teacher. So the word guru gets impacted. So, are there any signs that one is ready for a guru? Because I've got this question often. Do I need to get a guru? Do I need to find a guru? And I'm like, there is so much before that, right? So what are some internal or external signs that one should seek a guru?
See, what is happening in the yoga world today is that one teacher says, this is my method. Another teacher says, this is the right method. And another says, this is the best path. And all other paths are false. So eventually what happens? The student is totally confused. Yeah. And also they're left robbed of its time, individuality, and pocket. So it's to think of it, we as humans are, I think we are not that intelligent to find a guru. As far as my knowledge goes, there are no signs, no indications. It is mere groundwork to be done relentlessly.
Yes.
Till we come under the grace of a guru. So if someone thinks that they're capable of finding a guru, then they're just operating from a place of ego, like I said. Thinking that they're capable enough to find one, it doesn't just work that way. Probably that's the reason for many to keep hopping from one guru to another today. Because they have made that particular choice, not the other way around. When the guru enters your life, it's totally different. It's a totally different bond altogether. Let me explain, by guru, this entire process of guru browsing that we see in today's world. See, when we try to find a guru by ourselves, we are making a choice from a place of our likes, our dislikes, gauging what path of yoga we think is suitable for us.
Our own biases.
Yes, our own biases. And we also decide based on our the appearance of the guru, the number of followers they have, the empire that they have built. Trust me, none of this holds of any value in the larger scheme of things. But the reason that when a real guru from a lineage enters one's life, it's no smooth sailing. The truth is, the guru will pull the seeker out of the comfort zone and expects a certain level of diligence, consistency, discipline, and sadhana. Therefore, it becomes highly imperative to ask oneself, have I prepared enough for a guru to enter my life? Have I done that groundwork? Is that groundwork sufficient enough? So to put it simply, if the preparedness is in place, we didn't have to go guru hunting. The energy of the guru will enter your life, and a guru will enter one's life only with the grace of God. One will attract that energy. The guru might be a physical guru or in the physical form, or guru as a tradition or a stream of knowledge. I believe that, whether one is on the banks of Ganga or in a crowded market or just doing some job somewhere, it really does not matter. What matters is how alert, how hungry one is for that knowledge. If that eagerness, that I would say insatiable eagerness to reach that highest potentiality spiritually is in place, then the guru will come when the time is right and when the time is right. Yeah. I think generally it might happen in this lifetime or the ones ahead. Whenever it happens, it is
you can't force it.
Yeah, you can't force it. It's the most fantabulous place to be whenever that happens. You just have to do your sadhana and wait.
I think,
Yeah.
wait and that slow it down. What are you in a
Yes,
rush for, right? It's very important.
absolutely.
And the guru is not going to make your life easier. In fact, he's going to put you through the ringer and make you
Ah,
really work. No,
yes.
these are very important things for people to hear. I want to be mindful of your time. I know it is very late for you at this point, and you start early. I want to ask you one last question here, because I feel like we can talk about gurus for a very long time. So, is there any guidance, advice you want to give? Because I always believe the seeker is sincere, mostly.
Mm.
Okay. Sometimes they bump into the wrong avenues. Okay. So, is there any advice or insight that you can leave these yoga teachers, yoga students with when it comes to seeking a guru?
See, what happens is in the entire spectrum of Hindu Dharma, or what we call the Sanatana Dharma, it is extremely unique, it is extremely accommodating and all encompassing. Here, all we need to do as students, as seekers, is like I just said, whatever path we are in, just be honest towards that path. Okay. Even the little work that you do every single day is very important rather than not doing anything at all. So if you feel, okay, I'm a little, let me skip the practice today. No, little practice is better than no practice.
No practice.
Yeah. So ultimately, it is all about how well you're just taking that small step every single day. Yeah. That is what matters for a student.
Wonderful.
It is not about those big leaps. It is not about finding that guru, who will just bless you and your life is set. It does not happen. You need to do the groundwork. You need to put that foundation. You need to attract that energy. Everything is, it's like tuning a radio. You need to fine tune yourself every single day to that frequency, to catch that frequency. So that is the job of a student. So the less the judgment we do about different parts of yoga. And also, I feel that as students, we should not be very closed, in terms of the yogic path, saying that the path I am in is the best path.
Yeah.
One needs to be open to different possibilities. Yeah. And once you are accepting of those paths, there is another beauty that happens, that is where that you stop judging, your own community. If somebody is into some path, it is their life, it is their sadhana. It is, so we needn't have to comment on that. So we, need to follow our path. It is like, just look ahead, do your sadhana, absorb as much, and be at it.
No, that's a beautiful note to end on. I always say I don't convince anybody to do yoga. I will keep doing my yoga. I will keep teaching what I do. I'll share what I know. You want to come. It is a choice.
They need to arrive at yoga. Every person needs to arrive at that point. We need to give them time. See, it cannot be forced.
True.
See, even if you are in the path of yoga, like we can't force a beginner to do inversion. It needs to happen. They need to arrive at that. The same thing with people who are new to yoga or who are not yet ready to for the practice.
Correct.
They will arrive at it. We just have to give it time.
Yeah. No, this is wonderful. There is. I like how we have said without saying it. There's no grandeur in just getting a guru. Your life is not simplified by getting a guru. There is time. You have to keep working at it. There is invisible guru, external guru, internal guru. There's so many different notes that you have hit on this. I really hope that the listeners take it, sit with it. I know living in India, you probably see this guru shopping a lot more than some of us do out here. So I really hope that it brings clarity and contentment, because sometimes people are not content because they keep thinking, what's next? What's next? But you already have it all. So thank you. I know you will be back on this podcast. It's like you don't have a choice anymore. And it's only a matter of time.
I love these conversations, Arundhati. It
Me
makes
too.
so much sense. And we have so many seekers who are like genuine seekers who are like, who want to know about much more about these topics. And it's a wonderful way to share what our thoughts on this, isn't it?
Thank you. No. And it is guests like you who make these conversations possible. So thank you so much for being here.
Same here. Bye.
As always, thank you so much for being here. I will see you next week with another episode. Until then, take care. Bye-bye.